Hey everyone, what's good and welcome back. This week's Monday's music journey is going to have us listening to the 2021 EP by Gantz, Push Your Acid. Gantz is probably going to be one of the more obscure artists I'm going to explore in this segment, as his style of music is very niche to say the least. He produces dubstep, but in his own pretty left field sort of way. I've heard a few songs here and there from Gantz, but never a full solo project from him. I'm already familiar with his collaborative EP with Khan and Komodo, Volume 1, but I just haven't explored more of his work, even though I've been wanting to for the longest time, since I do really like that EP, and I'm already familiar with Khan and Komodo. So that's what we're going to do today, and with his other projects on this segment in the future. So with that out of the way, let's just get into it. I absolutely love that lo-fi-esque synth creeping along in the intro. The melody it plays really adds to this dark ambiance it feels Gantz is trying to create. Paired with this high-pitched reverb vocal sample floating above the rest of the instrumentation, Gantz succeeds at creating that very atmosphere. When it finally drops, man, it goes so hard, with that steady drum beat comprised of a booming kick drum and sharp delayed snap. The vocal sample from the intro loses the majority of its reverb as it cuts in and out over top of these crushing drums. I absolutely love that pairing. It's such a compelling combination to listen to. These hi-hats then come in as these sluggish bass or pad embellishments hang in the background, contributing to this rich, dark air surrounding the song, which I love. There's this little section of the drop where the sub and whirling vocal sample cuts out and puts the drums and embellishments front and center, which really highlights the quality of both aspects of this song. The original arrangement then returns for the remainder of the first drop, before that lo-fi synth line from the intro I love so much makes a welcome return, this time paired with some of the embellishments from the drop. The synth line then begins to have the low pass cut out as it begins to heighten as those stellar swirling vocal samples come into the fold once again, until it is finally that gorgeous synth line all on its own. At this point in the song, it sounds almost angelic compared to how devilish it sounded at the beginning. The outro sees an all-new arrangement of a dark pad and what sounds to be new ghostly vocal chops come in, as a haunting sample of a woman speaking on quote-unquote half-night comes in. It seems a bit esoteric to me, but it adds to the overall foreboding atmosphere that the song has built up from the beginning. Overall, if you couldn't tell from me gushing about this song, I absolutely love it. There's nothing to complain about here. This song is a perfect 10 out of 10 to me personally. The song kicks off with this tribal sounding drum beat, as these driving kick drums and reverb rim shot create a pretty atmospheric setting already. This continues before it cuts out and this thick, luscious sub-bass drops in, as the rim shots lose their reverb, making them sound much more, for lack of a better term, close to your ear, which I enjoy as a change of pace. These creepy sound effects of what sounds to be children's laughter, paired with this swirling pad then come in, which I find to be enjoyable. I also really love that. It's a small detail, I know, but it just adds that little extra flair which I enjoy. This glistening pad then comes in as it floats above the rest of the instrumentation, which creates this otherworldly feeling which I enjoy. Everything then takes a backseat as these dewy effects that pop in and out take center stage, which are pretty out there, not sure exactly what they are, but I find them to be enjoyable. The original arrangement of the drop then returns as the samples of what sounds to be someone moving around make an appearance and end the song on a pretty strange yet appropriately unsettling note. Overall, I like the song a good bit. It doesn't have a whole lot of variation, but what is here, I really like. This one is an 8.5 out of 10 to me. These cartoonish piano keys kick the song off, which I find to be an interesting choice of sound, as this thick, oscillating sub-bass then enters with the hard drum beat and descending synth line. The keys themselves sees them opening up as well, as this all occurs at the beginning. As the song continues, these ascending synth notes appear, as they follow the same melody of the sub-bass and contrast the stagnation of the keys and descending nature of the original synth line that comes in and out. I find this all to be an animated and enjoyable combination so far within the track. To add to the cartoony nature of the song, these sound effects then come in and out every few bars, sounding as if they're ripped straight from an episode of Looney Tunes or Scooby-Doo. At about the halfway point, the drums and sub cut out as this chopped up male vocal sample makes its appearance and is a welcomed addition to the song. When the drums and sub come back in, they're different from before as the sub sounds even more deep and doesn't follow the same melody. All the other instrumentation is gone as well, and is just replaced with a subtle dark synth just creeping in the background. The keys and synth line then reappear and come in even harder than before until the song ultimately ends. Overall, it's well made, and what is here, I do like a good bit of course, but it's just a bit repetitive for its 5-minute runtime, and doesn't change up all that much except for the midway points. But then that stays relatively the same as well. It's not a bad song by any means, but I just wish there was a bit more variation personally. This one is a 7.5 out of 10 to me. I love what sounds to be these reverse snares over top these ghostly effects and chilling synthline, as they all share the same bandpass and swirling effect. It's a compelling combination. The drums then come in with their own unique pattern, as this dark sub-bass follows the same melody of the synthline that came before. This then continues until this ethereal vocalization makes its appearance every few bars that sounds heavenly, yet haunting at the same time. This high-pitched airy effect then comes in to take the place of that vocalization for every few bars, which I find to go so hard honestly. The vocalizations then reappear before the song ultimately ends. Overall, I really like what's here, whether it be those angelic vocalizations, that airy hit I mentioned, or the synth line from the intro. However, they are all used so sparingly and only make repeated appearances every so often throughout the song, while the rest mostly stays the same as a drum beat and bass line. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the drum beat and bass line, but I just feel like the potential for the song to be absolutely amazing was there, but to me at least, Gantz didn't use them to their full effect. It's not a bad song though. This one is a 7 out of 10 to me personally. These choppy lo-fi sounds kick the song off, as this equally lo-fi sounding synthline that sounds like it's from a horror movie from the 70s then appears. I like when the hi-hats then come in, and that synthline then becomes more varied in melody, which continues to contribute to this dark atmosphere that has been established. It then cuts out and makes way for this bouncy sub-bass that props up those creepy, choppy effects which I love, especially when they begin to rise honestly. This female vocal sample that continues to cut in and out then comes in and sounds so gothic, as this airy pad appears behind her as well. These embellishments of synths and basses then appear, which add to this despondent and chaotic ambiance. Synth line then appears once again before it cuts out, making way for the bouncy sub-bass again, this time sounding even more deep than usual. This rising saw wave then comes in and creates an even more eerie feeling, as those haunting, choppy effects continue to go hard in the background until the song ultimately ends. Overall, this is probably the darkest sounding song on the EP, which I enjoy a good bit honestly. Yeah, this one also doesn't have much variation, but I appreciate this one more than some others on this project because of the atmosphere it creates. I like it a lot. This one is an 8.5 out of 10 to me personally. Push Your Acid by Gantz is 5 tracks and 23 minutes long, which honestly, for bass music, I find to be perfect. Seldom are there any bass music projects that I feel are justified in going above half an hour in all honesty. So I find EPs that range between 15 to 25 minutes to be perfect for all forms of bass music, with a few exceptions of course. The track sequencing is well done to me personally. It starts off well with this grand, epic, yet gothic sounding intro, and ends off with this chilling, creepy sounding outro. The sequencing of the songs in the middle could be arranged in whatever way, but the way they're arranged is still enjoyable to me personally. The overall feel of this EP is incredibly dark, gloomy, ominous, and heavy, which are all adjectives that describe some of my favorite music, and this one is no different. Gantz does this style so well to me honestly, and I feel as if he's at home in this sound. Overall, for project length, sequencing, and overall feeling, I believe an 8 out of 10 is appropriate for everything surrounding the actual music on this EP. So if you had that 8 out of 10 along with all the ratings I gave the songs on this EP, you get an 8.2 out of 10 overall, which I think is fair. Gantz proved that his distinct style of dubstep was one to look more into on this project honestly, as he delivered some of the darkest and desolate sounding songs I've heard in a while. My favorite songs had to be Axxon N, Avert Your Eyes, and Sleepless Elite. My least favorite had to be Chiral, although that is not a bad song, I just feel like it didn't reach its full potential. But regardless of what I think, there is no denying the technical skill Gantz has when it comes to production, and his creativity when it comes to the moods he injects into these tracks. I'm pretty intrigued with the rest of Gantz's catalog after hearing this project, so I can't wait to discuss them more on future MMJ videos on this channel. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see y'all next time.